You wake up to the stench of fear, sweat, and oil. The stone walls around you are damp and cold, pressing against your bare skin. Your ankle burns where the iron shackle has rubbed it raw. You try to shift, but every movement sends a pulse of pain through your ribs. Purple bruises blooming like rot beneath your skin. From beyond the locked door comes faint laughter, distant, echoing, the kind that tightens your stomach with dread. Footsteps, heavy, deliberate, sandals scraping across marble. You know that sound. The overseer, 15 years old. You've stopped counting birthdays. Time stopped the day they dragged you from your village, screaming, kicking, your father's voice calling your name as they shoved silver coins into his trembling hand. The door scrapes open. Harsh sunlight slams into the dark chamber, making your eyes water. A giant figure fills the doorway, the overseer, muscle-bound, his face a map of old scars and fresh cruelty. "Clean yourself," he growls, tossing a filthy rag onto the floor. His eyes rake over your body with the cold calculation of a trader at a livestock auction. "The master has guests tonight. You'll help entertain." Your throat tightens. You know what that means? You've known since the first night, when they told you your family's debts had been paid with the only thing left to sell. You thought you understood ancient Greece, democracy, philosophy, Olympian gods. That's the version schools like to tell. Marble columns, brilliant thinkers, heroic myths. But behind the polished statues and noble speeches hid something else, a world where beauty was currency, where the poor paid in flesh, where boys like you disappeared and never came home. The selection started long before you even understood. Maybe your father owed money to a rich landowner. Maybe raiders came. They always came, one war after another swallowing the Greek countryside. Or maybe you were just born with the wrong face, too beautiful for your own safety. In villages like yours, survival balanced on a knife's edge. A bad harvest, a broken leg, the death of the head of the family, any of it could push you into debt. And when creditors came knocking, they didn't want promises. They wanted payment. In flesh. You remember the last summer at home, the dry wind, the cracked earth, the olive trees shriveled, their fruit small and bitter, the barley fields withered under a merciless sun. Wells ran dry. The first to go were the goats and sheep. Then your mother's few silver bracelets, family heirlooms passed down for generations. And then came the merchants. They arrived like vultures, setting up in the village square. Chains coiled at their feet like metal snakes, their ledgers heavy with names, numbers, contracts. They offered silver, enough to keep a family fed for the winter. In exchange, years of service. 20 years, maybe more. You were 12 when they examined you like livestock. Your father wouldn't meet your eyes. Your mother turned away as they pried your mouth open, inspected your teeth, pressed your muscles. You heard words like promising, household service, good breeding. You didn't understand yet. The silver clinked into your father's palm. His hand shook. But he took it. Your mother wept, but she didn't stop it. They told you it was temporary, that you'd earn money, return home, buy land, marry, start fresh. Lies, smooth as honey, poisonous as snakebite. The caravan came at dawn, iron shackles, boys your age, older, younger, all chained together, heads down, faces blank. The older ones didn't speak. The younger ones cried for their mothers until their voices broke, or until the overseers silenced them with fists. You marched through olive groves, along coastal roads where the sea glittered like glass, through mountain passes where eagles circled overhead. But you saw none of it. Your world had shrunk to the weight of chains, the raw skin at your ankles, the boy in front of you, and the certainty you would never see home again. Nights were the worst. They chained you to wooden stakes driven into the dirt. You lay curled on your side, the earth cold beneath you, the iron collar biting your neck. Around you, muffled sobs, quiet prayers to gods who never answered. Sometimes merchants brought buyers to inspect the merchandise. They moved between you, soft hands, expensive robes, eyes sharp like blades, prodding muscles, checking teeth, searching for flaws. You learned to recognize them. Some looked for strength, broad shoulders, thick legs. They wanted field workers, boys who could survive dawn to dusk labor under the sun. Others wanted obedience, intelligence, fragility, perfect for household service, serving wine, cleaning chambers, staying silent. But the worst buyers, they dressed in silk. Their fingers glittered with rings. They smelled of perfume and power. Their eyes lingered too long. You saw how they looked at the pretty ones, the youngest, the most delicate, and you understood. They weren't buying workers. They were buying entertainment. The slave market in Athens. Nothing prepares you for that. First comes the noise, hundreds of voices shouting, bargaining, screaming. Then the stench, sweat, fear, urine, and something worse. Then you see it. Naked bodies lined up like cattle. Children barely able to stand. Old men broken from years of toil. All waiting, all priced. You're cleaned and oiled, your skin shining under the sun. Not from kindness. Clean bodies sell higher. They separate you from the field slaves, your face, your body. Someone decided you're too good for labor. The auctioneer shouts your name, your age, your village, your condition. He praises your pleasing appearance, your gentle nature. You understand the code now. Bidding starts, hands rise, voices argue. The price climbs. You stand frozen, breath shallow, trying to disappear. Strangers examine your teeth, test your grip, stroke your hair. You're no longer a person. Your property, an object, sold to the highest bidder. You learn fast that resistance only brings pain. The household runs on strict rules, enforced by Demetrius with the precision of a soldier and the cruelty of someone who climbed the ranks by breaking others first. You eat twice a day, a barley porridge in the morning, dry bread and olives at night. You wear a thin tunic that barely covers you, washed once a week if you're lucky. You speak only when spoken to. You keep your head down. You never, ever meet a free person's eyes. But there are rules unspoken too. You hear them whispered in the slave quarters late at night, in the heavy silence between boys too exhausted to cry. You are here to serve the master and his guests, however they demand it. That includes pouring wine, preparing food, cleaning, running errands. But more than that, entertaining. You understood the word differently before. Now you know what it truly means. You share a cramped stone cell with others like you. Boys with hollow eyes, brittle spirits, quiet mouths. Marcus, 15, same as you, bruises on his ribs like flowers in bloom, eyes that never focus on the present. Alexios, older, hard-faced, scars on his back mapping his punishment history. Philemon, barely 14, but with the dead look of someone much older. His family once owned a small shop. They lost everything. The creditors took him as part of the debt. He's been here 6 months. He explains the truth, the hidden face of Athens behind the marble columns and temples. You've heard of symposiums, gatherings of philosophers, poets, politicians, discussions about virtue, justice, art, democracy. That's the polished version. Reality? A house like this, filled with wealthy, powerful men. By night, wine flows, food piles on golden trays, laughter fills the halls. But when the drinking deepens and the words fade, eyes turn to the slaves, the boys, the entertainment, their bodies, their obedience, their silence. Philemon speaks of the rituals, the oiling of skin, the clinging fabrics, the jewelry marking you not as a person but as an ornament, a possession displayed for pleasure. The guests recline on couches, debating philosophy by candlelight, while calculating which slave to summon next. The thinkers, the poets, the men who speak of ethics and reason, reducing human lives to temporary amusements. That's the Athens no one writes poems about. That's the Athens you belong to now. The preparations begin long before the guests arrive. You're scrubbed until your skin burns, every bruise and scrape hidden beneath layers of oil that make you shine like polished marble. The tunic they give you is barely fabric, thin as smoke, clinging to your body, designed not to protect, but to display. You stand in a row with the others, waiting as servants rush around, laying out platters of figs, olives, roasted meat, honey cakes, pouring amphora after amphora of dark wine. The house smells of incense and wealth, of power heavy enough to crush anyone beneath it. You glance at Marcus beside you. He looks hollow, eyes distant, shoulders tight with silent dread. Philemon's hands tremble, his lips pressed together so hard they've turned white. The first guests arrive just as the sun dips below the city walls. They glide through the marble halls like they own the world, men in fine chitons, gold rings glittering, voices booming with confidence. You recognize some of them: politicians, merchants, scholars, the same men whose names are etched on public monuments, whose words shape the city's future. But here, their masks drop. Their gazes are sharp, lingering too long on you and the others. Their laughter is loud, but laced with something cruel. The symposium begins. At first, it resembles what you've heard whispered about: the talk of politics, philosophy, military campaigns. They debate democracy, virtue, honor, as though their words carry the weight of the gods themselves. But as the wine flows, the edges blur, the questions fade, the boasting grows, and the attention shifts. To you, to Marcus, to Philemon, to the fragile bodies standing silent in the shadows. The master signals, and Demetrius steps forward, barking orders. One by one, you move into the lamplight, hands steady, face blank, heart racing. You serve wine. You refill cups. You smile, small and practiced, like it means nothing. But their eyes strip you down more than the tunic ever could. You are not human here. You are entertainment. You are property. You are trapped. And you have only begun to understand how deep the darkness runs. The evening stretches endlessly, the air thick with smoke, perfume, and the cloying sweetness of spiced wine. The philosophers debate the nature of justice while their hands roam freely over the slaves who pour their drinks. They speak of virtue with tongues stained dark from grapes, laughing, jeering, fingers curling possessively around trembling shoulders. You keep your head down, your body rigid, your face expressionless as they touch you, inspect you, comment as if you're a vase or a prize horse. The youngest boys get the most attention, their youth, their beauty, their fear mistaken for compliance. Philemon is pulled forward, his thin frame displayed like art, his expression drained of hope. He's been through this before. Marcus grips the edge of the serving tray so tightly his knuckles go white, but he doesn't resist. You've learned resistance is punished swiftly and publicly. Across the room, your master Lysander reclines like a god among mortals, watching, smiling, proud of his collection of broken, beautiful things. His eyes meet yours for a brief second. There's no warmth there, only ownership. The conversations shift from politics to war stories, to conquests, military and otherwise. They compare victories, lands seized, wealth accumulated, and finally, the entertainment provided by those they own. Their voices grow bolder, their gestures more aggressive, the boundary between words and actions vanishing as quickly as the wine in their cups. The laughter sharpens, the night deepens, and you realize you're not just part of the evening's backdrop. You are the offering. You are the prize to be passed around, inspected, consumed. The ancient gods look down from painted ceilings and mosaics, frozen in eternal beauty, blind to what unfolds beneath them. But you see everything. You feel everything. And tonight, you understand. There is no philosophy that can save you here. The hours blur into each other, a haze of music, smoke, and the sound of bodies moving, yours among them. You pour wine for men who debate the meaning of courage while their hands creep across your skin without shame. Their laughter is sharp, their eyes glazed with drink and power. They speak of freedom as if it's their invention, as if the democracy of Athens shines above all cities. But beneath the columns and painted walls, boys like you live as shadows, stripped of names, futures, dignity. You move from guest to guest, carrying trays, refilling cups, avoiding their touch when you can, enduring it when you can't. Across the room, Marcus stumbles, his eyes unfocused. The overseer's hand clamps down on his shoulder, a silent warning. Philemon stands by the wall, trembling, his tunic slipping from one bruised shoulder. He's too small to resist, too familiar with this routine. You swallow the rising sickness in your throat. The men grow louder, their words bolder, their intentions clearer. Discussions of philosophy collapse into crude jokes, boasts about wealth, about the pleasures of ownership. You realize the evening isn't about intellect, it's about dominance. Every debate, every argument, every toast is a display of power over minds, over bodies, over you. The master's eyes track your movements, cold and satisfied. You're a reflection of his status, his control, his ability to possess beauty and bend it to his will. The walls of the grand hall echo with the contradictions of this city, a place celebrated for wisdom yet built on suffering. Tonight, you're not a student of history. You are history's forgotten footnote, hidden behind marble columns beneath the polished surface of civilization. The symposium isn't over. The worst is yet to come. The night deepens, and with it, the mask of civility slips away entirely. The philosophers recline like kings, their words slurred now, their hands careless, their intentions no longer veiled. You see it in their eyes, the moment when they stop pretending, when the conversation about democracy, honor, and reason gives way to something raw and brutal. The master signals again, and Demetrius begins selecting the slaves, one by one, pulled forward, displayed, handed off like expensive gifts. The room fills with the low hum of anticipation, a different kind of hunger simmering beneath the surface. You've heard the whispers in the basement cells. You know what happens after the debates end. The special guests expect more than wine and clever arguments. Their appetites run deeper, darker. Across the marble floor, Marcus is pushed toward a group of men, his face blank, his steps unsteady. You lock eyes for a brief moment. There's fear there, buried under layers of practiced stillness. You're next. You can feel it. The overseer's hand clamps onto your arm, his grip like iron. He pulls you forward into the ring of couches, into the center of their attention. The men lean forward, their gazes sharp, appraising. They discuss you openly, like livestock, like art, like property. One of them reaches out, brushing your jaw with the back of his hand, testing your reaction. You keep your face still, your breath shallow. The philosophers speak of reason, yet here there's no reason. Only power games played on the backs of the powerless. You understand now, behind every marble statue, every golden legend of Athens, there's this: silence, submission, shadows that no one writes about. Tonight, you are that shadow, seen, used, forgotten by morning. The hours draw on until the lamps burn low and the marble floors are stained with spilled wine. Your body aches, your skin slick with oil and sweat, but you keep moving, serving, obeying, surviving. The guests drift toward the exit, their laughter softer now, their appetites momentarily satisfied. The overseer's grip loosens. The master leans back on his couch, pleased, drunk on power more than wine. You fade into the background like the others, silent, invisible, trained to vanish once your purpose is fulfilled. But the bruises remain, the fear remains, and the knowledge of what you are now, a thing, bought, displayed, consumed, cuts deeper than any lash. Back in the basement, the stone walls close in around you. The boys collapse onto their straw mattresses, too tired to speak, too broken to cry. Philemon curls into himself, small and trembling. Marcus lies still, his eyes open, staring at the ceiling as if searching for stars that no longer exist. You sink onto your blanket, your body heavy, your spirit heavier. Above you, the grand city of Athens sleeps. The philosophers, the politicians, the poets, those who craft speeches about justice and virtue while their wealth is built on suffering hidden beneath marble columns. The world worships their legacy, democracy, philosophy, glory. But you've seen the other side. You've lived it. You are the forgotten truth carved into the shadows of history. And as your eyes close, the final thought sears itself into your mind. This is not the Athens of myths. This is the Athens of chains, of bruises, of silence. The Athens they will never teach you about in school,